Hi. So today we're in Dodson. My son is going to ferry back a plane we just bought, and I'm just describing some of our journey and how to get that plane. It was I would say it's the most difficult thing I had ever done. It was very challenging, especially since we're new. Everybody in my family has no experience in aviation, so we had no connections, no mentors, so that made it very, very hard to do. What we did when we decided that we needed to buy an airplane was did a lot of research on the internet, and we found some communities online and were able to get some help from different people on different chats. But it still was difficult because each pilot would give us advice, but then the next pilot would give us a seemingly contradictory advice, leaving me to be more confused. For example, when looking for an airplane, I read that you should try to get one that has low engine time, that you should get one that has good avionics, it shouldn't be from Florida, just a lot of different guides on what would be a good airplane to buy and what wouldn't be a good airplane to buy. There was another thing. Yeah, just a lot of different points. But then in the end, it doesn't matter because you just have to look at the plane and see if it's gonna be what you need, because you will have to take it to the shop anyways and start fixing it anyways, because these are all old planes. This one is almost 60 years old. So buying a plane, we know that's gonna have problems. So at first I was stressing out, thinking, oh, I have to get one that has low engine time and has an IFR rating and everything. But in the end, none of that really mattered. I think we just needed to make sure that we got a plane that was decent enough and that was safe to fly, and something that we can turn into a project where we can fix it and hopefully stay ahead of it and maintain it. Before things get old, start working on all that type of thing. So it was really, really hard going through that process. In not only knowing what kind of airplane to buy, but also all the things that you need to do. For example, getting the AMP. Finding the AMP was very difficult. In the end, the broker helped us find an AMP, and that's another thing. People always say, "Oh, don't rely on the broker to find a mechanic for you to do the inspection." But in our case, down in Fort Myers, there's a limited number of mechanics. So actually, that was a big help that he did find somebody for us. And we were fortunate enough to find a broker who was able to support us, because we were looking at other brokers and even trying to look at airplanes that were sold directly from the owner, and that can be really hard. Some brokers can be difficult to deal with, and some owners, they don't know how to sell a plane, so that can be hard as well. Okay, so besides all of that in terms of what you should buy, what you shouldn't buy, and all that type of thing, of course the big part of it is getting the money. The first thing I did was I thought, okay, it looks like the average used airplane is about between $120,000 to $150,000, so I'll just get an aviation loan. I worked really hard for several months to get my credit scores up. I opened accounts on Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. I got good credit scores. And then when I applied, I was declined because I have my kids have student loans that I co-signed with. So the aviation loans, they set a very high bar because they call it a luxury loan, where even if for us it's for training, so it's not really a luxury. For us it's something that's for vocation, but according to the bank it's a luxury loan, so they have very high standards. So that was a big obstacle for us, and we had to look around and get as much cash as we could to buy the plane. We could only get about $80,000, so that limited what we could buy, but that was one of the major obstacles that we had. Besides the money, there are different reasons that led us to needing to buy an airplane. Looking at different options. For example, military is traditionally how people get into aviation, but getting into the military or the Air Force maybe is not for everybody. I hear that now they're asking for 10 years dedication. It's a different culture, and it's you're submitting yourself to possibly a situation that you don't have control over. So Dodson decided he didn't want to go that route of going through the military as the way to get into aviation. Another way is to go into a corporate flight academy like ATP, and what they do is they take student loans like Sallie Mae. So you can go to flight school and go all the way up to your ATP certification using student loans, but also that can be difficult because then you get into big debts even if you do get approved. In our case, we weren't approved because they were already going to college and they already had Sallie Mae accounts. So in our case, it was declined. So militaries wasn't not a good option. The corporate flight academies were not a good option. So another option is to go to university that has a flight program. The problem now is after COVID, there's a lot of kids going to school with that major, and a lot of the universities like Middle Tennessee, like Middle Georgia, Alabama, they are overwhelmed with students and not enough flight labs. So that's another challenge, and that didn't work out for us. So finally, Dodson, we enrolled Dodson in a local flight academy, where he would pay by the hour between $200 to $500 an hour for flight lessons. So that is another challenge, because if you keep in mind, you need about 1,500 hours before you're able to apply for jobs at ATP level. So 1,500 times the average of like $300 to $400 an hour, that was beyond what we were able to do. So after looking at all those different options, we only had one option left, which was to buy a plane, and happily we were able to do that, and Dodson will be coming today with the airplane.